So if you could change one thing about each political party, what would it be? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Maybe this will help spur some thoughts. This is breaking news from the AP. A federal judge has declined to halt the president's executive order creating a federal voter list and limiting mail voting, clearing the way for potential sweeping changes in how American elections are run shortly before the midterms. U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee in Washington, late last night rejected the request by Democrats and civil rights groups that had argued Trump's order would likely be found unconstitutional because the states and Congress, not the president, have the power to set election rules. Nichols agreed with the Trump administration's contention it was too early to issue the order because it is yet to be implemented. So,
well, that's good news, and
sure, lots of good news, Jamie. That's what we do. We deal in good news here.
Let's be realistic. We knew that this was going to be a long, drawn-out court battle between the administration, the civil rights groups, the Democratic Party. So I'm not actually surprised, but it's unfortunate. I mean, it is. It's unfortunate that we have that news this morning.
Yes, so we'll just keep up the good fight and move on. But the reason we asked you if you could change one thing about each political party, what would it be? Americans as a whole just do not think the parties are doing a good job. So what do Americans dislike about the two parties? A Washington Post ABC News Ipsos poll last month asked more than 1,200 Americans to describe in their own words what they dislike most about each political party. They asked open-ended questions, and those are useful in tapping the top-of-mind opinions people have about a topic, which can be useful in understanding. So, what party would you like to start with, Jamie? Who should we critique
first? I don't know, but good gravy. How long did these poll takers have to go through this list? I mean, really, truly, for a lot of people, this is going to be endless. But let's start with the Democrats. Let's start with them this morning.
So, lot of complaints about the Democratic Party. The two most common were their positions being too liberal, and on too liberal on a range of issues. That got about 12% of the respondents, or too weak and don't stand up enough to President Trump. 10% of the people said those. So those were the top two.
Well, they don't like strongly worded letters. Okay,
right.
Check.
And I would agree with both of those.
Yeah.
As a Democrat, I am willing to critique my own party and say, yes, those are two. I think the left wing of this party is insane and way, way, way too progressive. And I know people are going, well, what do you mean by that? Especially our friends who listen in Madison. And I'm not mocking your ideas. I'm saying for me, they are too liberal. I don't, and we'll just use defund the police as one of them. And then we'll move on. Now, the next, the top five, should we do top five or a top 10 list? So we've given you 1 and 2.
Wow.
The other complaint, these are all at 5%. Corrupt, self-serving, favoring corporations, and powerful.
Okay.
No dislike or pro-democratic views, also 5. So 5% of people said they liked everything about the Democrats. All right. That's a little crazy.
They don't pay enough attention then, do they?
However, 5% said they disliked everything about the Democrats. So it's a wash.
Yeah, there we go.
That's fine.
Wow.
Loose immigration and border stance, out of touch with everyday Americans and the working class, and an anti-Trump obsession all got 4%. Then people got poor and old leadership. I give you that. No clear policy agenda. I don't believe that at all. Higher taxes and excess spending. We're getting taxed more. We always do under Republicans. I disagree there. Dishonesty. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Morally wrong, evil, violent, and ignorant. I wonder what 3% of people they ask that.
Right.
And big government and benefits for undeserving. Who is undeserving? That's again when we look at SNAP benefits and welfare and all those things, and most of it goes to white, rural, Southern red states.
But that's the messaging, right? I mean,
Sure
we've talked about this. That's what Republicans are really, really good at, and Democrats are really, really bad at. Republicans stick to a message. Everybody in the party sticks to that message. It doesn't matter what position you hold. You could literally be the assistant bookkeeper to the county clerk, and you are going to hold the same exact message that the rest of the Republican Party does, because they're very good at that, and it trickles from the top all the way down. Democrats, on the other hand, there's a lot of, well, we don't necessarily agree with that, or we've got certain people within our party or certain wings of our party. There's no consistency among the Democrats. Republicans will always, always be better at the messaging. They always have been, because they're more organized in that respect.
So would that then be your big dislike? They're not consistent on the messaging?
I think so, because it's gotten them in a lot of problems. I mean, when you look at the loose immigration and the border stance, that's a messaging thing, right?
Yeah.
Because the Republicans picked up on that during Joe Biden's era. There were people at the border. They made Kamala Harris the border czar, according to the Republicans, and they picked up on that, and they continued with that messaging throughout the entire administration. They picked it up then during the 2024 election, and the Democrats really had nothing to combat it with, ever.
I would agree with the messaging. Process. I also think party unity behind a candidate is a huge, huge issue for the Democrat. What is yours? What is the one thing you would change about either political party, Republican or Democrat? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. So that's those are my top. I agree with the top two in this poll. Mm-hmm. I would go with messaging, and I would also go with party unity, because and it goes to your messaging as well, where they'll stick on the message. They will back that one candidate. They will ride that horse till it drops. Whereas Democrats are all very precious about, but what about what they said about this, and what about that, and it's like, stop. We have to. What do you want to do? You want to win? And it was like my point with this spending bill. Do you want a small victory, or do you want to wait for the idealistic giant answer that's going to come down and just take you up to nirvana?
Right. It's government that's never going to come. It's never going to come, because it's politics and government, and that's just not how it works. It's not, unfortunately.
No. So that's what the Democrats need to do better. You can tell the respondents who are very hardcore Republican with the dishonestly, the morally wrong. How are Democrats morally wrong? But that's 3% of those people, as opposed to, shall we flip? Shall we go across the aisle?
We should.
What do Americans dislike most about the Republican Party? Well, as you can imagine, Trump tops the list of complaints about the Republican Party. Not by an overwhelming margin, though. 12% of adults specifically cited Trump or loyalty to Trump when asked what they dislike most about the GOP, although another 4% criticized the Republican Party for not supporting Trump enough. What more could they do? Other than carry him around literally on their shoulders.
It's like a baby backpack, right? Where you put him in the carrier. And, yeah.
Oh. So Jake's on the text line. He's listening on WMDX. He said a change for the Democrats would be stop having rich corporate coastal people have such an outside voice in the party's decisions. That's a good one, Jake. I like that.
I'm going to be honest. This is why Gavin Newsom potentially running for president actually terrifies me.
Yeah,
exactly,
he's another coastal elite.
He is. And Kamala Harris was also seen as another coastal elite, right? And that actually terrifies me.
Even though her roots were not elite at all.
They were not, but that's not how it was perceived.
And that's a problem. That's a problem that the Democrats have had since they were perceived a long time ago. And they were the party of labor. They were the party of the working class. They were all of the changes to labor laws and all that came from Democrats. And then suddenly it became, and that was another messaging point.
Yes.
Because I forget what campaign it was. I can't pinpoint it now, where it was the coastal elites. And that was when we turned against intellectuals. And it was a thing. And that was the Republicans hammering this home. Do you want these coastal elites who don't care about you? Some people are born into elite families.
Sure.
Others work hard to get to a certain point intellectually, financially, successfully, it doesn't make them bad people.
Right.
It makes them successes. That's what America is supposed to be.
Yep.
You can work hard. Now, are there more barriers for some people than others? Of course. But it shows a Republican branding because we never heard of coastal elites.
Right.
Until it started becoming an issue.
They're very good at branding. Very, very good at branding. It's really not, I know people always ask the question, how did we get to Trump? How did we get this former TV star as president? Really? Because the Republicans have always been about marketing and branding, which is what TV stars essentially set themselves up to do.
Yeah.
And that's what a man who has buildings named after him and water and steaks and all of it, that's essentially what he was good at. So I've never understood the argument when people say, well, I don't know how he got here. That question has always puzzled me because he was what their marketing always has been. To me, anyway, when I watched it from afar. Chad over on our YouTube chat says Republicans can follow in line. Democrats are a wanderlust. That's a really great way of putting it about Democrats. I love the wanderlust line. That does strike a little bit.
Matt's in Middleton. He called in at 855-75-CIVIC. You could too. Hello, Matt. Welcome.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So the one thing I would change about Republicans, which is a big one, is I would make them stop cheating. They've been cheating for decades.
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old, so I kind of was growing up back when they cheated a little less, but now it's just in our face every day, the cheating. And then as far as Democrats, I actually disagree with Brian. I think that when the middle class is shrinking the way it is, things are getting harder and harder. We actually need the progressive wing because the Clintons brought the Democrats more to center right. And the whole country has moved to the right. Progressives, what they want is the FDR kind of social safety nets that provided and gave us the healthy middle class that we've lost. So we actually need them now. Not that it's going to last, not that we need their policies forever, but we do need that correction.
Man,
that's what I would change about the Dems.
I don't completely disagree with you on that. It's just, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't. I think sometimes the progressive wing goes so far left because when you put it in the FDR, the New Deal, those kind of programs, of course, those are fantastic, and we do need those. Those are what help build the middle class. But then when you go more to the far left with the culture things, that turns a lot of people off. It's not and that's why progressive gets a bad rap. And I don't mean to contribute to that, but that's the reason why, for me, it gets too far left. Whereas if we focused on the individual issues,
primary system, though, couldn't we?
Yeah, that is true.
Because the extremists on both sides kind of take over primary.
Oh, 100. Yes. Oh, you're not going to get an argument on that from me, Matt. Matt, thanks for the call. Good talking to you.
Mark in Prairie du Sac saying, isn't Trump a coastal elite, generational wealth from New York?
Of course he is.
Of course
but he's also not intelligent, so he's elite financially.
He's also Republican, so it's different.
Yes. Loyalty to Trump was the biggest dislike of the Republicans. 7% said they had no dislike for the Republican Party. 6% dishonesty, hypocrisy, immorality, including the Epstein files, got 6%.